And I was able to learn some lessons there. And I tell you what, everything you do from there on out, you make damn sure that those things don't ever happen again.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that there's a class or a degree that could ever possibly teach you some of those lessons.
Welcome to the Intensity Podcast. I'm your host, Hans the Hammer Hartleben, reunited with the one and only Chris Brooks. Now, we have been podcast co-hosts together in a previous life, and we'll get into that. Maybe that'll come up. But Chris Brooks is here with us, CEO of Central Door Solutions, $12 million company these days. And he's going straight up, okay? Founder of Springville Sports Barn. He's a commercial land developer. You got a lot going on with that, and a ton more. And I asked him to be on this podcast today because a lot of our viewers are go-getters. They're interested in the hustle. And what I get a lot just talking to people on the street in regular everyday life is they can't balance all of this stuff. How do you do it? I know Pi gets that a lot. I don't have time, I have kids. Well, he's got kids, okay? And he has a lot on his plate, and he is highly successful at what he's doing, and he's found balance. That's like the most mysterious word out there. Is there such a thing? Some people say there's not. Chris, welcome.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. And I said we go way back to the Mr. 715 or the 715 show days. We had a lot of fun together.
We did.
And he's too damn busy to do a podcast.
It's tough to get away a little bit
We
these days.
talked about it.
We have.
He entertains about everything. He doesn't say no.
You know what? That's been one of my biggest faults in my career is not knowing when to say no.
Is that right?
I would say that's probably accurate. My wife and I would say maybe some of my business partners would agree with you, but or agree with that notion. But then again, you wouldn't be where you're sitting at if you said no all the time and didn't take a shot in the right situation. So
I would say, honestly speaking, that and tell me, am I wrong or right? You thrive under pressure.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
When there's not a back against the wall, and sometimes I've got a few family members, we joke about it, that we don't really get down to things until our back's against the wall, but rarely ever miss a deadline. And I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a strong business trait, but I think what it has taught me over the years is that when the pressure is on, it's really not that big of a deal when you can put things together, get things organized, and you'll meet the deadlines and you'll progress as long as you keep a clear head and you keep things moving forward. Things don't need to take as long as maybe some people make them out to.
Are you hearing? Did you hear your voice sound pretty clear? Get a little closer. Make sure.
All right.
Yeah.
We hearing better right there?
I think so.
Right.
It seems to go off and on a little bit.
Okay.
That's part of half the podcast. We're trying to get the audio right. Yours is down a little. Maybe that. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, it's a trick of the trade having the host be a little louder.
Well, that's right. So you sound a little more important.
I need all the help I can get.
I think you did that to me for about 3 years on the last show.
I need all the help I can get. I'm sitting with a multi-million-dollar guy here. I mean, come on, give me a break. So talk back to the thriving under pressure. What is it about you that you think that you can survive or thrive under those types of conditions and other people can't? And shoot me straight.
Number one, you're not going to do it all by yourself. That's one of the biggest things, and I think it's one of the biggest hurdles for business people or entrepreneurs or even just daily managers or even people managing their own daily life, is that I have to do it all myself. And I feel like once you start empowering other people around you, all right, let them feel vested. I'll tell you, one of the biggest sayings that I use on a daily basis with every company I'm involved in is that I don't need to be the best at anything within my company. Whether it's a door salesman, whether it's an installer, whether it's a bartender, whether it's a cook, whether it's a server, whether it's a home builder, the guy swinging the hammer, whatever it is, right? The best softball coach. What I need to be best at is assembling personnel around me. Making sure, okay, and here's one thing that I picked up from you actually probably about 4 years ago, and I still use this today.
What, alcoholism?
I think we got that one together about 25 years ago.
What's your hand?
It's the hose theory. What's our job? Our job is to walk up and down the hose every day and make sure there's water coming out the other end, which essentially is money. We have to figure out where those kinks are in that hose to make sure that money, aka the water, okay, is coming out the other end of that hose. And you are not going to do that by yourself. You're not going to be the pump. You're not going to be the guy putting on the hose. You're not going to be the guy turning it on. You're not going to be any of those other facets of that. You just have to be the one making sure that there's something coming out the other end.
Yeah. Yeah, and when there's water flowing out of the other end, essentially, as the CEO and the big picture guy, you can sit back and relax.
Yeah. And, I think another thing you pick up as time goes on is you figure out how to, one comment that gets said to me quite a bit is, you're always one step ahead. It always seems like you got tomorrow on your mind. Well, that is a big deal, is the vision part of things. Is what's the goal here? Where are we looking to try to get to? And where do you want to get things to? At what level are you trying to put that next business at? Is the next business you're going to start, is that going to be an asset and a supporter to the existing one that you already have? Or is it going to be something completely different?
Hindrance.
Well, not so much a hindrance, but is it going to be something that's going to diversify you a little bit personally and business-wise that is a refresher? You've been in the industry that you are in for quite a long time now. And, for any of us, an industry can get stale. And when you are self-employed or you have your own companies, you can't just decide, hey, I'm going to make a career change tomorrow. I guess you can just decide I'm going to sell out,
and even that's a process.
Yep. And as we both very well know. But what you can do is you can continue to try to grow, okay? And when you're a foot on the gas pedal all the time, guy like I am, and like many of our listeners are, you are constantly looking for what's that next challenge. And so you can't take away from the things that you're successful now, because they are the key way to launching you into that next one potentially. But it creates that challenge that every day to kick your own ass when you get up out of bed, because there's no boss. The only people you report to are your employees, keeping them satisfied and happy, and your customers. And so what are you going to do to keep yourself motivated every day? And I think for people like us, it's that next challenge. And sometimes it's expansion within an existing company. Maybe it's refining something. I think AI is a big thing right now. You're constantly trying to find ways to improve, become more efficient. How are you going to grow?
That goes into one of my questions here for you. One of the first ones is, what really motivates you to get out of bed? What's the first thing you do in the morning, or first thoughts you have?
I think it goes back to, you and I have both been involved in sports our entire life. And when you step away from certain team sports or something that you're involved in heavily, you're still looking for that challenge. You're still looking for that victory every day. Well, what's victory? Is victory making that next big deal? Is victory finding success or watching an employee reach that next level?
That's fun too.
There are a lot of times where, I can watch a 14-year-old girl work her ass off to get to a certain point, and you start seeing that success, and it makes you so happy. But it's also an employee that maybe started out as somebody that really didn't have any idea in an industry, or they went to school and came out and really had no direction in life, didn't know how they were going to utilize their degree, and they start using it in an industry where it really wasn't something they thought they were going to get into, and you start seeing them hit home runs. And to me, that's intriguing. That is a success story, and it again, it creates that personal challenge where every day it's like, hey, I got to be up tomorrow morning and be there early because I got to make sure that this is in place for these people that are coming in. If you're going to hold a sales meeting tomorrow, do you sleep in late and come to the meeting unprepared with a blank
I
notebook?
don't barely sleep on stuff like that.
So,
It's game day. That's game day. A meeting to me that's game day. That's
and I think
the Super
that's
Bowl.
why you see a lot of major corporations that they love former college athletes because of things like that. So where they're looking for, and I'm not saying that you have to be that type of person to succeed. What I'm saying is that they're looking because they know that type of person, there's a good chance they have that
Work
trait.
ethic. Well, they got the work ethic to put it together, but the competitiveness
Right. To win every
to win.
day.
And that's what it's really
And
about.
you can win in business, or you can win in your personal life.
And winning's not a bad thing. We're in this society that you almost have to think twice about talking about winning.
Yeah.
Is that such a bad thing? Is that a negative thing? Is that a bolsterous thing? You're not bragging.
No.
Winning can be have a lot of different looks.
Yeah, and even to come on and talk with you tonight, sometimes you got to kind of question, well, do you want to come out and talk about, what drives you, like what you're talking about, these things that make us work and make us go every day, because some people might look at that and go, wow, just listen to how arrogant he is about this, or there is such a fine line between being confident in who you are and what you're doing and arrogance that it's tough. But being arrogant is obviously a detriment to working in the community or working with other people. But you have to be confident enough in knowing that you can take care of business, you can make something happen, and you can help other people, and they can have faith in you while they're doing it.
What's the biggest thing? Because you run, let's just talk about the door company right now, 40 employees.
Give or take.
Come and go, this and that, and you're growing still. But what are the biggest characteristics you need to exemplify to run personalities? And I said this on my podcast. You guys that have heard this before, managing other human beings is the most difficult thing in the world. That's because you have to have hard conversations. You have to be creative in how you approach those conversations. And this is stuff that normal people can't even do. I mean, they have a hard enough time managing themselves. And now you got to be that guy. And that's also where we came up with that fine line of the people that can't have the hard conversations, that's where they stop. That's where the career ends.
Yeah, and you do see that a lot. And it's not just in business. It can be in some of the organizations that I'm involved in.
Let's talk about one of those really quick, because he's got a lot on the list and I couldn't mention them all right away, but chairman of the Plover Area Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Yeah.
That's an organization.
Yep. That's actually, it's a relatively young organization. So the village of Plover and the town of Plover, which are obviously, here where we live, just recently joined, and, we broke off from the larger city, Stevens Point, here about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
It was kind of a big deal. And,
Makes sense, though.
It was a situation where you had big enough areas that we needed to have the ability to promote businesses in our area on a stronger scale than what was able to be done previously. And
it was always an afterthought. It was always like the redheaded stepchild of the whole.
There were a lot of people that felt that way. And so, the municipalities, the boards of the municipalities felt strongly that way, and it broke off. And I had been sitting on just a tourism committee for the town of Plover, which just had a couple of hotels, but it was a smaller township. And when this developed, some of the folks that I work with thought enough to ask me to spearhead this and help get it off the ground. And like I said, we're a few years in and very proud of what we've been able to build at this point. It's been good for local businesses, good for our community, and I'm pretty excited about what the future has to hold for that.
Awesome. To talk about sports, because you hit on sports, we talked about college athletes being sought after in the workplace. Mm-hmm. You have a lot going on with softball. Can we cover? You got a couple student athletes. You have 12 years of coaching and winning. I want to say coaching's one thing, and we appreciate all the parent coaches, right? Everybody that's raising their hand, and they don't have to. You talk about this. It's so much easier to say no in life. It's so much easier. You just, not to get off track, you just got invited to, and we talked a little too much, maybe in depth of before in the green room, but you just got asked to go down to Atlanta and talk to a bunch of business owners and have them pick your brains. Kind of a big deal. It's easy to say no to that because it takes a lot of preparation. It takes you away from everything you have going on. It can be nerve-wracking. That's a big public speaking gig. Mm-hmm. You got to fly to Atlanta. It's easier to say no. So when we get back to the coaching, it's easier to say no as these coaches. So we respect all the coaches, but you have been winning, and you're talking on a national level. And he also runs, this doesn't end, and this is no joke, an indoor practice facility right here in Plover.
Correct.
For softball. It's just so cool.
Yeah, that was... since I started involvement, obviously I have two daughters. Some people would say I was fortunate. I don't know if I would say that. I never got to have a son, but my girls are wonderful. They've been great to coach. And
well, you try to convert the girls into boys by playing. Maybe. So you're going to play softball. That's what I did.
Maybe as a dad, maybe you do that a little bit. But they've done dance and a number of other things in their careers. But yeah, I mean, softball's been a huge part of our life, and the indoor softball facility was something where we really struggled for practice facilities in this area. We still do, to be honest with you. There's not any large indoor facilities here. The closest one is about 35 miles north of here. So
that's also a big thing that's been on your horizon. The grand, the Mac Daddy softball indoor tournaments.
Yeah, that might be the finale, maybe before retirement.
Well, God, that's a big one.
It's been on the agenda a long time.
I mean, come on, the location, we talk about this 1,000 times. It all makes sense.
Yeah, somebody's
going to do it. It's needed. There's not a lot of things anymore. Something that's actually a niche and a need for.
Yep,
and that's one of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of want for that. I mean, it's we've got a lot of great parents, organizations, kids that want to play, but it's hard to compete with Southern teams when they start getting close to a college level because those kids are able to play year round.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, as far as being outdoors, we're about a 5-month state. So there's a long time that you can't be outside working on things. Having kids that are out competing in other sports is still very important. It's something that we promote. Quick shout out to our local Spash Panthers, the volleyball teams competing at state this week, so good for them. A lot of softball players there. But having the capability of having an indoor facility to work in and practice in for those that want to, on more of a year-round basis, or at least, let's just say on a 9 to 10 month area where they take some time off, is important. And that's what we were able to bring to the community with the HIT facility to a point where there's, 16 of our local Plover travel teams in there, our local high school team that, has 8 state championships in the last 25 years. They practice in that facility.
I didn't know that.
So it's
I didn't know they were using their facility.
Yeah, they last year they made a move over, and it's great to have them in there. They're great mentors.
Great,
for the younger
great
kids.
Energy. Yeah, mentors for everybody. People looking up to the little ones, looking up to those guys, and That's a big deal.
Our local high school coach actually comes in and does some lessons for a lot of the younger kids, which is a great opportunity for some of those younger kids to learn from somebody that's been around for a long time and had a lot of success. So it's good stuff.
Commercial land developer.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about with the maybe scratching an itch or finding another way to diversify a little bit. That one's new in the last 5 years.
That was out of your comfort zone, so to speak, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so you've bought a big chunk of land, commercial land, in a very, I don't want to say affluent, but it's a busy part of the area. So like you could see it's screaming potential.
Right.
It sat for a little while. I think people were,
30 years.
Yeah, okay. So you're like, and you start to think, we had called, talked about that a little bit. Why is this? And you start to wonder, am I making the stupid move?
Right.
And what am I missing? Am I missing something that all these other prospective people?
Right.
But you have, and I don't know if you can disclose.
There's a little bit I can talk about there. I mean, as with any, large property, there's challenges. This sits on a state highway, which then you're working on access with the DOT, and there's always challenges in making sure that the traffic flows are correct.
But you're working with a big brand that's interested in coming aboard.
Yeah. We've got some great prospects there that we're hoping everything moves forward. We've got a great team put together.
See, I didn't get it out of them. I made 2 attempts at 2 strikes. Maybe one more will come out.
But that it's a great learning experience. I tell you what, things like this, for everything that I have been fortunate to be able to do, and the success that I have found, didn't start in college. As you know, I didn't go to college. And so some of these are some learning experiences. Sometimes you pay for those. And
one way or the other, you're going to pay for all the education.
But when you get to this point in your career, turned the big 5-0 this year, had a small party at the house.
Yeah. That was a small party. Band, pool. The pool was permanent as part of his house, but spread out the fireworks. He had a huge firework display.
Well, that was we did, but it was also supported by some other of my neighbors and some of our local growers.
But you put it together, and it was part of.
It was a good night.
Yeah, it was fun. Drank a lot of Point Light.
We did. Quick shout out for them.
Yeah, great looking can, and great tasting beer. Like, wow, that was the first time I had Point Light. It was going down the hatch.
Doing our fair share to drive those first-year sales.
Yeah.
But with all of that being said, these are opportunities that as someone who is constantly looking for that challenge, and you see some opportunity there, and you're fortunate enough at this point in your life to have a couple more dollars in your pocket than what you had before.
Is it true that it takes money to make money?
It definitely makes life a little bit easier when you're trying to put these things together.
But it's not everything. You can make it happen. You just got to get a little more creative, little knock on more doors and raise. Because in business, you don't always use your own money.
Yep. There's a lot that obviously that and I didn't come from any money, and everything that I've been able to do at this point has been self-generated, and so that part of things I'm proud with. There's been some challenges early in my career that didn't go my way, and you had to recuperate from that. And I think there's something that resonates with me to this day that I instill in as many employees as I can in how I operate with a lot of my business partners and vendors. And I remember when, how old were we? I was about 24, 25 years old. and lost my first significant business, and trying to figure out how to recuperate, because when you're that age, banks are not a fan of you. When you're
Even if you're good.
yeah, I mean, when you're in your early 20s and there's not a lot of assets, they're not a big fan. And so,
Well, because and look at it in their standpoint, though.
100%.
So say my first loan was 10 grand, okay, for my used car dealership. 10 grand, that's what I needed to put this together. And the risk is so high, and they're not going to make anything on the 10 grand as it is.
Yep.
If you pay it back, which chances are you're not, like 6 out of 10 you're not, they don't make anything.
Right.
So
Very, very low profit margin there.
So those are the toughest loans to get.
They are.
Small
You're
business loan that way.
Almost better off to be larger, but then you got to have a considerable amount of cash. So you have to start small. But back to the point was that, I sat at a bar. I guess you can use the cliche term of drinking my sorrows away. And a local business owner that I'm still friends with to this day, said to me, no matter what happens, and he was a customer of mine, said, no matter what happens from here on out, don't ever lose your integrity. And I'll never forget those words. And, through coming out of those first lost businesses, never filed bankruptcy, paid back a lot of people, and was able to recreate some things. And to this day, the bank that I was working with at the time, same exact people in the same positions, I have great relationships with, and do a ton of business
They
with
stuck
them.
with you.
They did. And, I think that is a full circle positive feeling that you can have, that, look, what do we all hear, I guess, when you're young and you start reading all these books, and there's all these things out there to where how to be a great entrepreneur, how to be a great business owner. And they talk about, I read Sam Walton's book at a young age.
Walmart.
Walmart. And
Walgreens.
They talked about...
And Sam's Club.
They won't.
Right?
Are you done?
I like interrupting.
How many businesses did that guy have?
But a lot of people don't know this.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Quick fun fact, my grandpa drove his car, I forgot what it was, his antique car, in the show of the Waltons as an extra.
Really?
Yep. No extra charge.
I didn't know that. Wow.
It's fancy stuff
You
here.
used to be a lot better at that years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe be a little more prompt.
Yeah. Well, I got like 4 screens I got to clear to get into that.
Now the problem is you got me off my point here, and you know what happens when
I'm
you
good
get
at
to
that
this
too.
age?
Go ahead.
Now I forgot what I was talking about. I don't even
Well, you
know.
you talked about Walton's. You read Sam Walton's book. Boom.
Failure. That a lot of your biggest self-made entrepreneurs and business owners in America, or probably anywhere for that matter, have had a significant level of failure at some point in their life. And for me, it was obviously at a young age, which was good in the long run when I look back on it, because obviously you don't want to learn those hard lessons at 40 years old, because you're rebuilding everything from there. And I was able to learn some lessons there, and I tell you what, everything you do from there on out, you make damn sure that those things don't ever happen again. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that there's a class or a degree that could ever possibly teach you some of those lessons.
Oh, and I don't, though, we both did a similar deal. We both hit rock bottom, the different ways.
Yeah.
And we bounced back. Sometimes I wonder, how it all really happened. What drove you? What drove you when you're talking about failure? You're talking about Sam Walton. What was your major driver to come back? It's easier to put your tail between your legs and just get a job.
Yeah, I don't think that it's anything special. I think that there are a lot of us out there that have that same drive, that same motivation. I hate to keep bringing up the sports cliches, but that competitiveness is very important.
Is that the number one thing? What did it? It's just in you.
Competitiveness, well, I mean,
and I think you like pain. I think, and this is serious, guys. Is we talk to a lot of people. There's 160 coaches in our organization, fitness coaches.
Yep.
And, there's lots of clients, 4,000 active clients. And you talk to some weak people and people that they don't have a threshold for an ounce of pain. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about mental pain, guys. I'm talking about mental pain, stress, anxiety, and they have no threshold for this, and they got to bail. Where when I'm talking about, I think you thrive on stress, and you agreed with me, but there's also pain involved. And we talk about that in another podcast, is your pain scale, I think, is off the chart. I don't know if you do have a top, like that's a 10. You could be bleeding out your ears and nose, and that's probably an 8. Maybe, because there is some pain. You got to be resilient inside. It's not for everyone.
No, it's not. And it doesn't need to be.
I don't encourage it when we're selling franchises super quickly, I know how much work this is. And unless you want to run it like a farm, you know how much work a farm is. Yeah. That's what you need to do. And we're at the place right now where we discourage more people than sell it. I don't want to sell somebody on this.
Yeah, I tell you, to that point, yesterday I kind of had one of those days where it seemed like from 7:30 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, something was punching you in the face. It was just one of those days, right? And
which one of these businesses? Which all angles?
Well, there's always something.
Okay.
On those days, there's usually something from almost every angle.
Okay.
And
because you don't, just real quick, this is something I wanted to ask too. With having all of these irons in the fire, mm-hmm. It's talking about organization has got to be huge. Or when your day, do you take one day for Springville Sports Barn?
No, you can't do it that way.
You can't do it that way.
No.
So what do you do?
So, I think this can relate to a lot of people that are listening. Is I was not a very organized guy. Probably struggled with that, and I started doing things to a point where every meeting I would go to, if I open up, I got a big long file cabinet that the side drawer type at the end of my desk, and there's about 8 binders in there, one for each company, one for each organization that I attend meetings for, so I can just go in there,
grab it,
pull that binder out, I go to the meeting.
Yep.
All that information is always in that one binder. Right?
A blank notebook in there, last notes from the last meeting.
Correct. And then
the old school way, the written stuff.
It is, because you go into the meeting, you
can just grab
jot things down.
I'm not a fan of all the digital. I mean, some. It's got its place. But
I think there's another generation that's behind us, though. It's going to be much better. I see so many people that are on the computer. My typing skills aren't fast enough for that. Everybody laughs at me in the office. They'll grab it. They'll grab it from me and go, "Just let me do that for you, because I can't sit here and watch you do that."
But I think there's always going to be a place and a value for something you can grab physically.
Yeah.
Don't you? I mean, it's not going to all, okay, let me pull that up. Fucking internet's down, you're screwed.
Yeah, and let's just say your notes app or anything on your phone. I use that quite a bit. So it's still something
you can share the note.
So instead of writing it down, I'm typing it in.
Yeah.
So, but it's still there, right? The second thing to getting yourself organized that way is getting everyone in place that you're working with. You have let's talk about
team building.
Springville real quick, okay? We talk about kitchen managers, bar managers. My wife is, she does a great job with the parts of the business that she runs. There's certain aspects to where I take care of. and then kind of oversee a lot of those other parts. Central door, you have a warehouse manager, you have a scheduler, you have your salespeople, but I also have a good business partner there that oversees certain parts of that too. When it comes to, the HIT facility, our college coaches that come in and do the lessons. I've got a couple of great people that help work on the schedule, and they coordinate those type of things. So it's empowering and getting good people around you to where you can take a look at each one of those. And there's a lot of days, and I'll, probably one of the biggest additions the last couple of years is a personal assistant, to where I'll sit down and go, okay, let's go through these developments. Is there anything that we're missing that we need to get back to anybody? Are we, what's coming up for meetings? What do we have going on?
And she follows you around for the most part at this point. Or she have a home base.
She did for a while, but the whole idea is to not necessarily have somebody at your side all the time, as much as it is, I need you to go take care of something that I don't have the time to do right now. But they have to learn your life and what you're doing, and you have to be trusting in that person. They
have to hang around. That's your training.
Correct. And how you when she came aboard, I said, look, there's not a great training program to this other than you need to learn who I am, and you need to learn everything that I do every day and why this is a challenge. And
she needs to be Chat GTP.
On a whole nother level, though, on steroids.
Chat GPT. Did I say that the right way the first time?
I don't know. It works, but that's a huge tool to help keep things organized and keep things going. Because at the end of the day, when my daughter gets off from school and she wants to practice pitching, I want to go back and I want to be able to catch for her.
That's awesome.
When my daughter that's currently playing college softball has games, I want to be there. Otherwise, why did I do all of this? Why did I go through all this work?
Is it fair to say that you have done a job? You have any regrets with all of this business resume?
Are there any regrets?
With not staying involved in family? Because I see you on social media. I mean, you're spending a lot of time with the family.
No, sometimes you feel like, well, do we sit down? You mentioned the Waltons earlier, okay? Sometimes you feel like, well, do we have enough sit-down dinners? If we're being honest and we reach out to everybody listening, how many of you still sit down with 5 of you at a dinner table at 5:30 every night of the week and have dinner and talk about what happened today? That's just, that part of the world has changed a lot.
Well, even their kids have different schedules, so it's hard to... Once a week is nice.
So the biggest thing for me is, I guess, to try to stay in contact and communication with them.
So now one daughter's at college.
Correct.
Playing softball.
Yep.
One in high school yet.
Yep.
That is what year in school?
She's a junior.
Junior. It's unreal.
And she's still playing softball, and she's got some aspirations to get into coaching.
Oh, that's great.
So right now she actually just started working with my oldest daughter's softball coach at the college, and so she's going to be working with him because she has already been training with him for the last 7-8 years.
Wow.
And so she knows a lot of what he does, and they're going to work together, and she's going to kind of start off her career if that's the route she decides to go, but she's going to start working with like 6 and 7 and 8-year-old girls that are, we have a lot of people that are like, we just want to get them learning the game and teaching things, and she's got a great outgoing personality.
Well, she's a fireball. I'll never forget her in that little camp we had at Fire.
Big smiler.
Oh yeah, she's always, she was like the teacher's pet somehow, and she's kind of she was in that gray area, kind of be the smart aleck, but a good one. You know what I mean? And she was on point.
Yeah.
I could definitely see her doing that. She's going to really have her foot in the door down there.
Right. And so it's good. I'm proud of what they're doing for themselves. They both work very hard. In fact, to a point where...
Who'd they learn that from? Tammy?
Yes. Well, I'm not going to take anything away from her. She
Oh,
works
no, I know.
long hours. So yeah, if there's anything, I guess
I didn't mean it.
probably- yeah,
I just
know.
meant it was a rip on you, not Tammy. I was trying.
But my daughter that's in college, I keep telling her, you don't need to work all these hours and then practicing 5 days a week, and then you're going and playing games on the weekends, which is what they did for fall ball. Obviously, she can't do that when they're in season because they're playing several days a week and then practicing every other day. I mean, it's pretty much 6-7 days a week with that deal.
Oh yeah.
But she wants to work, and she wants to be self-sufficient. And no matter how many times I'm like, hey, look, I've got you for a little bit. You're going to have to work for the next 50 years, kid.
You're trying to slow her down a little bit.
Well, you know what? She started working at 14 at Central Door, and she works there still, although sparingly with being in school. She comes home and works at Springville, and then she's got a job.
She's a worker.
And then she's got a job down in Madison. And so...
It's amazing.
And,
Proud papa right there.
Well, I definitely have a ton of respect for what she's trying to do. I just want her to enjoy things a little bit. And, I think...
Smell the roses.
I tell you, there's a part of me where everybody's like, the kid's 22 years old and won't get out of my basement. Well, I think you kind of get to this age where it is right now, and it's kind of sad when they start moving on. But I don't have to worry about them right now. They're looking for their own travels and their own dreams, and that's a big deal.
So that buys you a little more time investment for what you have going on too at this point. You're on that cycle.
Yeah,
We're both almost out of the house, and she's an adult.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely. It starts freeing things up, which, when you turn 50, what's the number one thing that you've told me multiple times when it comes to a businessman and being in your 50s?
What's that?
It's when you make all your money.
A man statistically makes all of his money from 50 and above, yeah.
So,
yeah, and you can agree with that. Once you start, all the mistakes are done, you start to mature a little bit.
Yeah.
You have some wisdom under your cap. And maybe it has something to do with the family cycle too.
Probably.
You could dedicate more focus into your career.
So it's interesting that how a lot of that evolves over time.
Real good. What would you say to the young Chris Brooks, the 25-year-old? If you could look back. Because you talked about hitting the brick wall.
Yeah.
What would you say to that guy if very similar, put yourself in that 25-year-old shoes? What's your best advice?
To definitely, even at that age, I've never been afraid to fail. And I think that's one of the biggest holdbacks to a lot of good people, that they continue to be afraid to fail. And that's not just in business, that's something that I tell players when I coach them as well, is that you got to play loose, you got to be willing to go make a play, and you can't be afraid to fail at something, a lot of that's in the batter's box. And when it comes to business, sometimes you got to take a gamble. Nobody has ever succeeded at a high level without taking a chance or without taking a gamble. Mm-hmm. They just haven't. And so you've got to be willing to do that. But on the other side, I would say you need to get yourself organized. You need to follow through on things, and attention to detail needs to be way better.
How do you get that guy's full of piss and vinegar, 25 years old, to settle down and get organized? It's go, go, go. We were talking in the green room. We were the young 20s. So we're talking about code of ethics or core values, and one of our core values is we before me. And we kind of laughed, and he said, we should give that to our old selves or whatever, because it was nothing but, you and I. That's all that came out of our mouths.
I did that. Yeah, I did this.
And why is that? Why was that?
Well, I think you want to, at that age, you're worried about impressing people. What have I done at this point in my life? Here's what I can do. Because at this point, when you're 22, 23, nobody believes you can do anything. And they're probably right. I mean, because if you are doing it, you're probably doing it wrong. And that's just a reality of things. Or you're maybe not doing it efficiently, and if you are, then you're a 1%er in the making, right? If you're that good at that age, and which we weren't, neither one of us. We had abilities to do things on a successful level, but we weren't good enough to recognize some of the things that had to be done at that age.
Well, on that
So
note,
once we got
I think
older.
my dad still thinks so. That's one thing as a father or mother. So you see your kids growing up, right? You saw their worst though too.
Yeah.
So I think my dad still sees me as the young 20s, piss and vinegar, because he even made a comment to my sister. My sister told me, yeah, Dad said, Hans has got to be cheating the tax, cheating IRS. He's got he's got to be cheating on his taxes because that success couldn't just happen to him. No, I'm serious. It's straight up. That's real shit. And I'm like, and it didn't surprise me. He's just kind of has that attitude.
Yeah.
And I think he still thinks that I'm on my bike. Sure. Maybe 15 when we were butting heads and I'd jump off my bike and just throw it. You know what I mean? I didn't put it down a nice way with the kickstand. I just go throw the freaking bike, leave the peanut butter out. I think he's thinking that's still me.
You know who the hardest people to probably impress are in your entire life and world?
Yeah.
Is a lot of the people that you grew up the closest with. The people that know you have nothing. You did nothing, right? But now it's 20, 25 years later, and instead of necessarily like being, man, you're really doing a great job. Man, I'm proud of you. Those are the friends you met 10 years ago. The ones from 25 years ago, they're sitting at the bar with their buddy going, can you tell me how that guy can afford, how can he possibly be doing that? There's no, I mean.
They didn't evolve though. That's what the biggest thing is. That's coming out of their own insecurities. They could have evolved.
But some of these people are pretty successful in their own right. And sometimes I don't understand. There's one thing I think in business and life that is probably what bothers me is that people don't necessarily enjoy seeing others succeed. And I just don't understand. I'm going to give you an example where people will feel like salespeople make too much money. And, obviously you and I started in sales at 18 years old. We both started as salesmen. That's basically, other than a few jobs in high school and that kind of thing, we've been somehow, some way in the service industry or in sales or whatever it may be our entire lives. And when I look at my sales staff and I have to cut a big check for them, I'm proud. I'm happy. Look at what you went and did. And as a business owner, if you don't recognize that, hey, bud, you got a bigger chunk of that than he did, how can you be upset about that?
Right.
You cannot be frustrated with people that are making good money for you. Now, if obviously there's somebody that you've got on a big salary and all of a sudden, they've died at their desk and.
But I thought you were talking about other people looking at from the outside in.
Well, I was, and that's where I started. But my point being here is that it excites me to see other people that are working for me growing into who they are.
Well, what about other people? Are you excited for other people that are succeeding in life that don't work for you?
Oh, that are outside? Absolutely.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely.
I'm inspired by people like that. I mean, I want to see everybody succeed. I've never had a point in my life where I didn't want to see somebody, like a new business that popped up, do well.
Right. And, when somebody pulls up and they have a brand new car or a brand new pickup, it's like, hey, good for you. Obviously things are going good, huh?
Actually, there is probably one business I really didn't want to see do well, Limitless.
A rival gym. Well, hey, you know what?
I'd be lying to say I really wanted them to
Yeah.
rock
Yep,
it.
Yep. Well, that's kind of like when you have to shake hands at the plate, when you're about to start a game and you have to tell the other coach good luck.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. It's a
hey,
respect, honor thing.
There's sometimes I started changing things in my later years of coaching. Right? Hey, let's keep everybody healthy today.
Yeah,
'cause
instead of saying good luck,
well,
because you weren't being honest with them.
Well, I mean, what does it mean? I mean, do you want them to have great luck against you?
Cliche thing. It's
Yeah. So I mean, let's be realistic. Let's be cordial. Let's have everybody have fun here and be competitive. And I said everybody have fun. There's gonna be a lot of people who listen to this probably laugh at me that know me, but
fun wasn't the first goal.
well,
Fun, you're gonna have fun. You're gonna have fun to win national championship. That's fun.
One of the guys that taught me some things many years ago, one of his sayings was, "We're trying to have enjoyable, competitive softball."
You gotta dummy it down and
instead of using the everybody just have fun cliche,
it's a touchy subject.
Well,
It's a very touchy subject, and the wording is to be perfect because you'll get both sides.
I was just going to say, both sides. You get some people say, "Well, the kids are just supposed to have fun," and the other ones will say, "Well, we're not even trying."
Yeah,
we're not
so
even
you have
trying here.
in that one sentence, you have to please both parties.
Yeah. So I always thought that was
good.
a little bit of genius on how he worded that.
It is. It is good. Yeah. Well, the best sentence is something that nobody can argue with. Best lines. So that's great. You're heading to what you said, Nashville? You said Tennessee.
Tennessee this weekend.
I mean, I know Nashville's in Tennessee, but are you going to Nashville?
I actually I don't believe so. Although you know what, when you're that close, you just never know how you might take a.
What's the Tennessee trip all about?
Looking at prospective colleges for my oldest daughter. She's kind of got some ideas on what she wants to do, so. This trip was kind of planned, and I said, all right, I guess I'm along for the ride.
Love it.
So
that's great. That's going to be fun.
So we're going to break out for the weekend and run down and check some things out and then be back.
That sounds great.
It's another one of those things that milestones, right?
Mm-hmm. She looking at playing ball down there?
I don't think down there.
No. Okay.
It's probably not, obviously it's University of Tennessee, Division I. Love my daughter.
Walk on.
Yeah, there's always a chance, right? But there's always.
You're talking about the volunteers.
Too. Yeah. So.
I always love those colors.
The
orange and white.
Well, you probably grew up deer hunting, so.
Well, we didn't know where to go from there.
Well, yeah, you're not much of a deer hunter.
More than you.
Well. There's I think a big part of, when we were chatting in the green room there coming in tonight was, just where have we come from? And we used to have a lot of fun. We were doing the podcast, doing the 715 show, and we'll blame it on COVID, because that's what everybody else did for 2 years. I think
you had to hear about that. You're still hearing about people's excuses during COVID.
I think I think our last shows were somewhere during that time frame or just after.
And that was controversial. Do you really put yourself back to those when we were doing those shows? We were legitimately going, I don't know if we should do it.
Yeah. Should we be sitting next to each other?
The whole thing.
Yeah, it was
because we were supposed to be at home. Yeah. We're supposed to be placed at home.
Yep. Which I don't think we did one for a period.
Yeah. We had to have social distancing.
Yep.
And that was one of the things. Should we be sitting next to each other? Oh my God. Now you look back and you go, can we believe everybody fell for it? Yeah. I mean, it's a very serious illness.
But like everything else, we came out the other side.
Yeah, it was tough. If you could make it through that, in business especially.
But, coming out of there, obviously we've both been able to find some avenues for ourselves and part of what got us there, I think, is a level of integrity that you work with on a daily basis, that you try to instill into your employees and you instill into everything that you do. How do you react and how do you respond when nobody's looking?
Is is that your, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the other question I wanted to ask you is somebody listening now that has failed or failing, how do they regroup the fastest and most efficient way possible?
Be fluid. The best thing I can tell you is to be fluid. Do not stay focused. Do not stay headfast on maybe what you necessarily started 100% with. Not to say that you can't continue doing what you set out to do, but how you're doing it, how you may be marketing, how, if you're building widgets on the assembly line, can your widgets be used for something else in a different market than what you're currently trying to market to?
I like that.
There's just a number of things that sometimes you need. This has turned into a cliche statement in business in the last few years, is make sure that you're taking the time to work on your business and not just work in it. And
Hamster on a wheel type of deal.
And that's why I've made the comment several times about department heads and having good people around and having where, you don't necessarily want to separate yourself from every employee that works for you, but there's just not enough hours in the day for me to talk to every installer about, hey, how's Lucy doing? How's things going at home? I try to have those conversations as much as I can, but there's just not enough hours in the day when you start getting 40, 60 plus people that are working for you. So when it comes to running several businesses, I need to narrow it down to where I'm dealing with a half dozen people a day. Is everything going okay here? What do we need to have?
Do you ever get any pushback for not having those conversations? You deal with primarily men, which aren't as sensitive generally, right?
I mean, the food industry and the service industry tends to be a little bit more women than
need more touches.
No, not necessarily. That even with that one, and I'll tell you what, I'm gonna say this. Anybody that knew that we were getting involved in the bar, restaurant, and obviously we have a huge banquet hall there, and we got some things going on with bands, and we do a lot of weddings and other things. It's like, man, you got to live there. You're married to it. You're living there. But I've been able to put good people in place there too. And I'm not saying that I don't have some responsibility that has to be handled there. Maybe it's equipment. Maybe it's working with vendors. I mean, I spent several hours there this morning working with some of our vendors. You're, negotiating the best deals that you can at a certain period of time. Maybe you got to spend a little more money than what you normally would to hit certain price breaks. Things that you either have to empower your staff to be able to make those decisions, or you have to do them. And so even in that industry, I've got good people, and I can't express how important it is to pay people well. We worked very hard at Central Door a few years ago to put together the best possible benefit package for a trade industry company. And I think that has helped set us apart. We don't see a lot of turnover.
That's a good sign.
Because we go through a lot of work to create the benefits that people need. And then one of the things that was a struggle, I would run surveys to where I would ask everybody, hey, I'm going to put this out there. Here's 5 questions. I need you to be honest with me. What's important to you? Where do you see yourself in so many years? What would you like to see out of this company, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of it was hours and family time.
Okay.
And when you're in the construction industry, that can, depending on the time of year, it can wear on. So we completely changed our schedule to 4-day work weeks. And we have basically 2 rotating crews.
Interesting.
And, one crew essentially runs Monday through Thursday. The other one goes Tuesday through Friday, and they alternate. And so you'd work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off, then work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just have Saturday, Sunday off, then Monday. So you got 4 days a week, and 2 weekends a month, you have 4 days off.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got a little mini vacation.
Yeah,
twice a
absolutely.
month.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that really seemed to help a lot with, having our employees be able to be with families and take weekend vacations. And, if they're in basketball tournaments or softball or baseball or whatever.
It opens things up.
A lot.
Yeah.
It opens it a lot. Because sometimes evenings are a little bit tougher if you're not getting off until 5, 6, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to put our hours in, and then we're going to take a few days off here.
Yeah.
And those were some things that we were able to do. But again, it was thinking outside the box. You got to have a little bit of vision to where
being liquid, like you said,
fluid, to where what's important to your people, and you got to figure out how to operate your business with what's important to those people, because you're not running it without them.
No.
I don't care how good you are, you're not running it without them.
Yep. Well, it's a football team. You need all the players, and everyone needs to be accommodated a little different. I think that's the way the whole workforce is going, and you had to evolve. Mm-hmm. You could be stubborn and say, "Well, I worked back." You hear that some of the bosses too still saying, when my dad started this company, it's not when your dad started this company now. Things have changed.
Yep.
And it takes a lot of work to evolve, and accommodate those types of things. And like you said, the fluid mindset.
Yeah. Everything's got to be involved. And I tell you what, with what's going on right now, with AI and the technology, every industry out there needs to pay attention, because either you're gonna be part of the group that's forging forward, or you're gonna get passed by.
Yep. Accelerated. It's just everything is accelerated. Things accelerated with the start of the internet. Mm-hmm. Things just accelerated even more with AI, or going to be.
Yeah, the pace that it's on right now is almost unbelievable.
Yeah. Light speed. Good stuff. Well, hey guys, if you got a great experience out of this, and if you got something out of it, go ahead and share it. Go to my website, hanshartleben.com. If you want to be a guest on the show, fill out the form. Any closing arguments, Brooksy? Buckskin Brooks.
No, I tell you what, I've about argued my day out. This is
his day. This is his time off. This is what this guy does for fun. He goes on a podcast on his off time.
It's about as relaxing as it gets right here.
Awesome. Well,
thanks. I appreciate you having me on.
Glad to have you.
Everything that
I appreciate you and
that we've done, and to be able to come on, and I think it's actually important to be able to sit down and share some of our experiences, because we've lived on both sides of the fence. We've lived on the failure side, and we've lived on the success side, and to be able to start helping people realize that just because some things don't go your way doesn't mean that it never will. There's a possibility out there for everybody.
One thing I do have to say, though, just before I was going to hit the button, but when you say we've been on, we grew up poor, okay,
let's not say poverty, but I mean,
poor, not.
We didn't have the shoes everybody else had. You didn't have the nice clothes.
Right. So, and those are real things. But you'll see more and more. You'll see like some of the politicians doing this. They want to upplay. What am I looking for? Yeah. They upplay their poor beginnings.
Yeah.
And half of those are bullshit. My mom worked at McDonald's, and
I didn't get my endowment till I was 18. Now I got $32 million.
Yeah, exactly. That was hard living. Right. So you see that too. So a couple real dudes, take his advice. If you have any questions, reach out to Chris Brooks on Facebook, and he will make time for you most likely, because that's what kind of guy he is. You heard it right from him. So the only other thing I have to say is do it with intensity.
Or not at all.
That's a wrap.